Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community Church. We're a welcoming congregation where we strive to transform ourselves and the world through love, wonder, and connection. My name is Elena Brooks Perkins. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve on the worship team and on the nominating committee. I sing in the choir. I should have written down the things I do. And I sometimes bake for the bake sale. So this morning we are reflecting on the changing of seasons, the coming spring, and where we can find balance in our lives. But first, we have a special announcement from our board moderator, Mary Virginia Curry.
We have someone sitting on the front row who has a special glow around her. And that is our new settled minister, Reverend Sarah Goodman. This sounds a little too normal, but I think we're really blessed. I was going to mention what the vote was last Sunday. We had 123 total votes. We had 111 yeses and 12 nos. And my secretary, who's so good with statistics, says that's 90.2% affirmative. So. We are really looking forward to going forward and having a new bright future for ourselves. Thank you, Sarah.
I'm so happy. So whether you're here for the first time or the 1,000th time, welcome. Whatever you are facing in your own life, welcome. This is a place where we try our best to be real with one another, to get through hard things together, and to remind ourselves and one another of the values that ground and center us, motivate and move us. Whomever you are, whatever your faith journey, whomever you love, you are welcome here. We welcome all who seek to know the sacred and all who seek to make our world more just. Our commitment is to be together in covenant, so please join me in our affirmation of who this community is, beginning with that all-important word. Love is the message of this church, and service is our way. This is our great covenant together, to seek together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Let's join in singing our opening hymn, Chant for the Seasons, which is number 73 in our gray hardback hymnal. We'll sing through the spring verse twice. use she or her pronouns. Our chalice lighting words are from Sharon Wiley, and Helen will light our chalice. The hours of the day and night are in balance. In honor of earth-centered traditions that celebrate this time of year, we observe that the flaming chalice holds the elements of the 4 directions: the lamp oil for earth, the air that feeds the flame, the fire we light, and the chalice itself, the cup, the symbol of water. Yay. We light our chalice and reflect on the balance we seek in our lives, the balance we seek in our hearts, and the balance we seek in the world. Please join me now in a time of prayer or meditation. Find a comfortable place for your body, whatever that means. Notice your breathing and find your center if you can. Take a moment to just be, allowing stillness to settle in your heart. I'll share now this meditation on the 4 directions by Julia Hamilton. In the pagan tradition, which is grounded in a respect and reverence for the natural world, calling upon the 4 directions is the usual way to begin any ceremony. Each direction is associated with an element of the natural world and represents some part of our human nature as well. The directions are not seen as separate or isolated, but rather as part of the interdependent system that makes up the world. We begin in the east, towards the rising sun. The element of the east is air. Air and breath give us life. It is the direction of inspiration, the word that literally means to take in air. The east is associated with the mind, with knowledge and learning and intellectual curiosity. Imagine the birds turning and wheeling in the air. Imagine the breeze blowing through your hair. Imagine. Turning towards the east in your minds, we look for a fresh start, an invigorating breath, a new idea. When you're feeling stuck in a rut, beholden to a routine, or if the wind has gone out of your sails, look eastward. We move around the wheel to the south. The element of the south is fire. We see it in the flame of our chalice as it burns bright. Fire is a transformative force. It is heat and light and powerful change. In the Northern Hemisphere, it makes sense that we associate the south towards the equator with the warmth of the sun and the heat of the flame. We see birds move south, butterflies move south, whales move south, seeking warmer places when the weather gets cold. When our internal weather gets cold, turning south is a metaphor for turning towards warmth and daylight, seeking out the changes that will warm us up, get our blood moving, call us out of our winters, out of hibernation, and into action. Continuing around the circle, we arrive in the west. The element of west is water. In the west, we are drawn into the experience of our emotions. It's a direction that calls us to self-reflection and self-understanding. Our emotions move us like water, flowing through our lives, sometimes calm and sometimes turbulent, but always flowing. When we dam up our feelings, just like we dam up a river, the pressure builds until it finds an outlet. If you're seeking to get in touch with your inner life, with your emotions, turn towards the west. And we move now to the north. The element of the north is earth. There is stability here, the ground of our being. The north represents the place that holds us, the place that allows us time and space to heal and grow, to feel nurtured and respected. It is also the place of embodiment, of connecting with our physical self, with the concrete, tangible world around us. The north calls to you if you are seeking balance, the deep wisdom that lives in your bones, a place of rest and recovery. So as we have moved through these 4 directions, given them shape and meaning, east is air, breath, and inspiration. South is fire, transformation, and action. West is water, feeling, and reflection. North is earth, balance, and wisdom. I invite you to turn towards the direction that calls you today. You stay in your seat, you can stand, you can turn your head, your whole body, or just inside your mind. But orient yourself towards one of the directions, the element that speaks to you and your life right now. And then when I ring the bowl, we'll enter into a time of silent meditation. So orient yourself to the directions. Anyone know where east is? East is that way. So east, south, southwest, north. Orient yourselves emotionally. Yes. In this time of prayer, we hold in love and light Linda Steinrod, who donated these amazing orchids in honor of her husband, Robert, who died last week. Not last week, I apologize, in February. Is my mic off? It was fine before. Test, 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 test. It's not working? Okay. Is it possible to get a handheld mic in case it doesn't come back?
In any case, we
Testing.
hold in love and light Linda Steinrod, who donated
Testing.
these amazing orchids in honor of her husband,
So I think we
Robert,
have a
who died
house
in
speaker
February.
problem, 'cause this should
We
overwrite. It's not.
honor and respect this loss and hold them in love. Is it? It's a speaker problem. Okay. You can hear enough? Okay, I will keep speaking as loudly as I can. So we return to our centers of connection every week because we know that the rituals bring us closer together and allow us to share our joys and hope, our sorrows and fears, and how they shape our lives. So in the next few minutes of even more contemplative time, we will be sharing together the experience of witnessing each other and of expressing our inner experience of joy or hope by lighting a candle, or expressing our inner experience of sorrow or fear by placing a stone. In a moment, I will invite you to come forward and participate, but first I would like to offer those who are participating online to put your name and either candle or stone into the chat box so we can add your name and our candles and stones for you at the end of our time. I also invite anyone who would like to have a candle lit for you to raise your hand, and Alina will light that for you. Anyone who would like Thank you. And now I invite you to come participate in the ritual. If you would like to light a candle, come this way and line up. Oh, you can hear me, hooray! And line up over here. If you'd like to place a stone, come this way. And if you'd like to switch and do both, you may.
And hi, my name is Adina Danuf. I use she or they pronouns, and I am your Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration. And today I'm going to tell you a springtime garden story. But pay attention because I will need your help. You see, there once was a garden, and it was a nice size with plenty of room to grow, lots to offer the world, and a lot of potential. Now, can you help me imagine what this garden might sound like? Wow. I heard birds. I heard crickets. Like literally the word crickets. I heard wind. I felt like I was there. Okay, so you're there too. Now, in this garden, there were many different types of seeds that needed different things, but they all had the same goal, to make the world a more beautiful place. Now, the garden was on a great plot of land with a newly chosen land keeper. You're going to catch on to this story eventually. And it was pretty awesome. But there was also a gardener who had been tending the garden for many, many years. That gardener was tired, y'all. The gardener had seen good years with a garden full of many, many beautiful flowers, and the garden had seen not so good years where only 1 or 2 flowers popped up. And the gardener tried new gardening techniques and bringing plant food, soil additives, and watering at different times of the day, but no matter what the gardener did, they never really knew how the garden was going to turn out. Because it wasn't just in their hands. The sun and the wind, the rain and temperatures, insects and animals, and the other things happening on the land all had an impact on the garden. Now, the gardener wanted the best for all the flowers, so they tried to help where they could, but they were still unsure. How could they make the garden have the best possible outcome year after year? They wanted to make sure to help all of the seeds in the garden, even though some people thought the gardener's job was only to help some of the seeds, really all of the seeds in the garden. They wanted them to reach their full potential, and honestly, that's a lot to worry about. So one day, the gardener went to the land keeper, and they shared about their worries and their hopes for the seeds, and they shared about different visions of the garden they had seen over the years, how they wanted to keep the garden growing and what they hoped it would become. And after the gardener shared all of this, the landkeeper said, "Think back to your favorite times in the garden. What made them so special?" And the gardener thought. And there were many times when the garden had been full of many beautiful flowers, but the times that the gardener had felt the garden was at its most beautiful was when the gardener had trusted others to help. Times when the gardener reached out to people who shared the land. Now, there were lots of different people. There were people with tons of gardening knowledge and people who had barely ever planted a seed before. There were people who loved to dig in the dirt and people who just wanted to carry the water. The gardener asked all the people to help make the garden grow, and they did, and it was beautiful. And the gardener said, "I may be the keeper of the garden, but for every seed to reach their full potential, I need more than just me. I need to trust that others will help make this garden grow too." And this is a story about how trust can bring about something beautiful. But you might have guessed it also might be about a little bit more than just a garden. You see, there's this pretty great RE program with plenty of room to grow and lots to offer and a lot of potential. Now, could you help me imagine what a great RE program might sound like? Oh, wow! I heard things like children's classes and a youth group and some great lay-led adult faith development opportunities. I feel like I'm already there. Now, in this Lifespan RE program, there are many types of people who span across ages, different life experiences, and who spiritually need different things. But we all have the same goal: to make the world a better place. This RE program is at a great church with a newly voted settled minister. How exciting! And then there's me, who has been tending the program for many years. I've seen years with tons of kids and youth and lots of adult leaders and robust RE classes, and there have been years where only a few kids have come to class, no committed youth, and adult programs were pretty hard to get moving. I've tried new teaching techniques and bringing in new curriculum. I've tried feeding people and offering classes at different times of the week or even on Zoom. Some things have worked, some haven't, but it's not just in my hands, right? The state of the world, people's schedules and other commitments, and other things happening at the church all have an impact on our program. I want the best possible outcome for everyone, and I'm a little biased because I want the best possible outcome, especially for the children and youth. I'm real. I want to make sure everyone in the community of any age feels spiritually fed, and that's a lot to worry about. So one day recently, true story, I went to Reverend Sarah and I poured out all of my worries. I shared my hopes for the children and youth and the adults. I don't forget you, I promise. I shared about different versions of the RE program that I've seen over the years and what I hope it will become. And after I shared all of this, Reverend Sarah said, think back to your favorite version of the program. Think back to your favorite version of learning something here. What made it so special? And I thought that the times when it felt most special and the most beautiful was when people of the community were fully invested in our RE program. So I told you at the beginning I would need your help. I put all my cards on the table, and I meant it. I need you. Yes, you. Don't think I'm not talking to you. I really mean you to help this garden grow. I may be the keeper of the program, but it needs more than just me. And this is where some of you might say, but I don't know how to garden. Hear me out. I need people to play with babies, toddlers, and preschoolers in the nursery, nurturing their connection to our church and giving their parents a break. Yeah? Not for you? Totally fine. I need people to come get to know some of the coolest kids that you will ever meet. Help them explore our values through art and games and music and just plain fun. And again, giving their parents a chance to spiritually grow and giving you a chance to see what youism looks like outside of these sanctuary walls. Still not intrigued? Then maybe you're like the youth who are just a bit too cool for me, but they might be right up your alley. We need people to chill with them, hear their take on the world, guide them a little bit, and remember that you're seeing in real time the future of our faith and our world. If I still haven't reached you, you are not off the hook. As someone who has worked with kids for over 25 years, I get it. Some people don't do kids. Okay, I still need you. We need people to bring their skills and their sense of wonder and their love of this community to help facilitate small groups for other adults and to sign up for those groups when we make them happen. We have 2 small groups right now that each only have 1 person signed up to be in them. Have you said, I want adult faith development? Check your e-news, it's there, I promise. And if what you want isn't there, volunteer to help make it happen, right? Right. So, we need you. We need you. I'll say it again and again and again. We need you. By now, I've probably called everyone out, but really, I'm calling you in. I'm calling you in. I'm calling you to be invested in this community, in our community that I hear time and time again from many of you that you love, okay? So if you feel charged to help this garden grow, I have business cards, my email's on the back of your order of service, and I promise I put a sign up in the e-news pretty regularly, so there's lots of chances for you to come in. Let me know if you're willing to do what it takes to truly support the multi-generational vision that this community says that we have. I'm asking and I'm trusting each of you to help us all reach our full potential. And if you still don't feel like I'm talking to you, then maybe you're one of those beautiful RE program flowers that needs to head to class with me to grow together now. Thank you.
Please join me in our offering and acknowledging all the ways we give to this church and to the world. We give because this is our church, and we value what it does for us, and through us, to our community and our world. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this church, inside and outside our walls. May we give in love and in hope. Thank you for your offering and all the ways you give to our church and ministry with your time, talent, treasure, and trust. Together, our gifts allow us to expand and strengthen the tapestry of love, wonder, and connection that blesses this church and transforms us and the world. Our reading this morning is a prayer from Jennifer Johnson, Spirit of Life, Source of Being. Open our hearts and minds to all that is possible in this season of liminality, this in-between season, sometimes winter, sometimes nearly spring, not quite one nor the other. Beneath the crust of earth, seeds and bulbs lay in store. Some, crocus and daffodil, have dared to pierce the surface, braving to become the next iteration of self, a new bloom. On the forsythia and magnolia branches, petals curl into themselves, swelling into uncertain buds, waiting for the optimal conditions of light and warmth and rain to unfold into their potential for beauty and delight. On the bare branches of maple, oak, and elm, tiny leaves are invisibly budding, readying themselves for their debut, a new wardrobe for a new season. We too are waiting to grow again. Like perennial plants and deciduous trees, we don't grow along a singular trajectory, from infancy through childhood to the bloom of adulthood and the wider unfolding of elder years. Rather, we grow anew, year upon year, in seasons and cycles. In the cold and dark of winters, real and metaphorical, we hunker down, seek shelter and stillness, conserve energy, so that new vitality can germinate. In this liminal season, we are waiting for signs of longer light, lasting warmth, and quenching rains, waiting to grow again anew. What new growth is budding in you, readying itself to make its debut, to adorn the world with beauty and delight? Can you hear it singing?
Thank you, Susan, for filling in for Jonathan, but also for just giving your gifts to this congregation so freely. Thank you. My friends, I am so excited that I'm here with you. And we're turning into a new next season of this congregation's life together. I'm so excited for the future we're building together. It doesn't feel right, though, to compare the changes that come from this commitment to one another as similar to the changing of the seasons, because we weren't in a dormant time as a congregation, and then now this vote changes us to a breaking through towards something else. We've been in this together for close to 2 years now. And you all have been tending this garden through all kinds of ups and downs over the last 30 years. Today isn't a new beginning, but it is a recommitment to this congregation's thriving. Today, we're here together doing the same work we were doing last year, the same work you all were doing in the years before that. The beauty of this community is that there are seasons of growth and seasons of fallow time. There are seasons of hope and seasons of regrouping. I am not a gardener in real life. In fact, I am so much of a brown thumb that I've successfully killed all of the plants that have ever been given into my care. I have both dried out cactuses and drowned bromeliad, and left the hanging baskets of flowers out over the winter to die of neglect. It's not that I don't like plants. I love them. I think they're wonderful. Obviously, I need them to survive, but I am much more interested in cultivating human thriving than in cultivating a garden. My skills are all relational. I'm more interested in encouraging leadership than encouraging seedlings. I'm more interested in helping you make meaning in your life than keeping track of a watering and weeding schedule. Those things are incredibly important, but they're not my skill set, which is another beautiful thing about this community. We all have different skills and interests that we bring. We are like that stone soup story, if you will, a nourishing meal brought together by the bounty of everyone present. I know many of you are devoted gardeners, thank goodness. Many of you are devoted musicians, and many of you are artists, and some of you are all three. I know that there are folks here who help children thrive, who help elders thrive, and there are plenty of you who spend your time working in jobs that just don't hold much value to you, but keep the lights on and the cupboards full. Even those jobs help keep things working in our society, brings us balance. We each of us bring our strengths and our weaknesses, and we balance each other. This is the balancing time of year, the spring equinox, a time when the day and night are close to equal. The winter is behind us and warm days are ahead. This time of year and the turning of the season is another time when people celebrate. People on earth celebrate. Festivals and times of remembrances are common in cultures around the world, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere. This year, our Muslim neighbors are observing Ramadan in a time of fasting and reflecting in this spring. There are season changes, but it's happening this year in spring. This week, our Jewish neighbors just celebrated the topsy-turvy holiday of Purim, which reminds them to speak truth to power. Our Hindu neighbors also celebrated Holi, a festival of colors and spring and love. And our pagan neighbors are observing Ostara, which is a celebration of fertility and growth. As we speak about trust this month, we have to mention that these changing of the seasons is something we have to put our trust into. In order to survive, our plants need light and warmth, but also rest and dormancy. In order to survive, we need light and warmth, but also rest and dormancy. We are coming out of the rest and dormancy season. Did you see those crocuses out front? Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. Did you see that our trees are blossoming and flowers? So growing up in San Diego, there wasn't the same joyous connection to the spring that I experienced after living in Minnesota for years. You might imagine why. When consistent spring doesn't come until late April, every day of warmth and light is a generous blessing. But growing up, I was surprised to hear from my cousins who lived in Massachusetts that it was still winter in February. What? That's weird. In my experience, there were 2 months of winter, December and January. That's it. And it really was only just a couple of months of slightly cooler weather and occasional rain. And when I say occasional, I mean people don't know how to drive in the rain there. To think that there was still snow on the ground and freezing temperatures in February was a stumper. And when I realized that March was often still icy, I don't know. I was like, what? How? And then I moved to Minnesota. And when I was touring around, I asked someone, we were driving around a lake, and I said, oh yeah, how late in the year does this lake stay frozen? When was the latest it's been that it stayed frozen? And they said it was June. And I was like, what? June is summer. No matter where I've lived, June is summer. And sometimes that lake didn't fully defrost until summer. Whew, call me that sweet summer child, but summer is warm, and summer is sun, and summer is sacred. I was needing to learn a new language around the seasons, and as my colleague writes, our souls speak spring. Evan Carvel-Zeimer has written these words. If we lived in another climate, our souls might speak other languages. We might speak oasis or permafrost, dry season or monsoon, but our souls speak spring. Our souls speak green shoots pushing through last year's leaves. Our souls speak flower buds stretching to the sun. Our souls speak mud puddle and nest building, damp earth and worm casings, tiny green leaves and frog choruses. We speak spring because spring sings in us. We gather to nurture our faith in our growing, our own courage to push through, our own blossoming in beauty, our own small part in the spring of this world. When I grew up, my soul spoke of chaparral and fire season, and over time I've learned the language of spring. In the hope of the coming of green things, in the faith of the sustainability of life, in the trust of the turning of the seasons. 5 years ago this week, when COVID-19 pandemic shut down the normal way of being in the world, I thought, thank goodness this is happening in March, because at least we can look forward to spring. We can hunker down for these last few weeks of winter and welcome spring with our reopening. Oh, sweet summer child, once again. As we moved from winter to spring to summer and the fall approached and things were still not normal, whatever that means, we faced a long and grueling winter, and I had to have faith in the seasons to continue to bring us dormancy and resting with the promise of the return of the sun. I had to have trust in the people working hard to produce the vaccines. I had to have trust in the people around me that they were doing the best to keep us all safe. And the initial shutdown, that was deeply challenging. The year and a half after was also deeply challenging. And the truth is, 5 years on, things are still, and perhaps even more deeply challenging in a different way, but still. All I know is that I have trust in the seasons that keep us in their cycle, and trust that the earth keeps rotating on its axis, and I have trust that most people are good and want to help make this garden keep growing, and I have trust in us. I have trust in us. And I think we need to have a little a blessing moment for a home, maybe this place, a place where we are both free and tethered to support. We can think of this space here, or our home at home, or the entire earth, but let's rise in body or spirit to sing this old and beautiful hymn, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door, number 1 in the gray hardback hymnal. Susan will play it through once. In preparation for our closing, let us reach out to one another in whatever way we feel comfortable. Arms, hands, elbows, whatever it is, to feel connected. And before we go, we release the spirits of the directions which we called to us. We release east, air of breath and of inspiration. We release south, fire of transformation and action. We release west, water, feeling, and reflection. We release north, earth, balance, and wisdom. And when you go, find balance wherever you are. And when you go, go in peace. Salam and shalom.
Leave this place knowing you are good and knowing you are loved.
Take your dark and your light and your love from this place and share them with the world. And stay safe until we meet again. Amen. And don't forget, Baker's Dozen.
No, that's great. Stole your thunder. No, I was looking at this.
Spaghetti.